with learning a language, what would you say is the best way for someone to get started if they've never considered
Mhm.
learning a language? What is like the basics that they should start out before they start getting too deep into it?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, the way to start is to make sure that you know what the goal is
Mm-hmm.
and what's your motivation, right? So, and if there is no love for the language, right? If you're not motivated by like you loving like the sound of it, right? Or wanting like to go to the country, being like in love with the culture. If there is no love, you should add it, right? Because it's important. It may seem trivial, but it is actually important, right? You have to make sure that you are enjoying the process of learning, right? So that's the first step, right? So, and then, well, you should probably find a tutor, right? Someone who could walk you through it, someone who could be a guide to you. Yeah, and there are a lot of platforms online. So if you want to find me, I'm on Preply, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually in the top 10 of the Russian tutors on the platform. There are like 1,000 of them over there. So yeah, and when you go to one of the platforms, instead of hitting the button for students, hit the button for teachers and see how they hire people,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, because that's a good way to find a good tutor, right? You gotta find a good platform first, right? And so if you see that they don't let their tutors charge a lot, right? That's like a red flag, right? So first of all, make sure you know how to find a right guide for your language learning journey, right? And then use your tutor as someone who will show you the basics of grammar, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the basics of the language. And everything else you should do yourself, basically, right? So you have to read a lot, watch a lot of films, and really dive into that. And also, it's really important to understand some things, right? You don't have to really understand the grammar a lot, right? But you have to be able to distinguish between, like, let's say, a verb and a noun, right? Because that's important in any language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to learn any language, you have to understand the basics of structure, right? So you have to be able to distinguish between a verb and a noun, right? You have to understand what vowels are, right? What are consonants and how is it looking in the language that you're trying to learn, right? So you have like the general understanding of how a statement looks like versus a question and negation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So things like that. And then, yeah, other questions like, is intonation important? Is intonation crucial in the language that you're trying to learn, right? So like just like the basics of structure, you have to have it down.